Welcome to Truth and Transparency. Welcome on this lovely Friday. All of a sudden, want to pop on and do a live. Hopefully you guys have had a great week. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend. And I'll be live this evening for the planned live between 8 or 9 p.m. I forget what time it's listed at, but it's out there. But about a 45-minute live here to talk about a couple different things. The initial pictures, initial statements that were out there in the beginning, and then now taking a look back at those after, obviously we have a PCA, we have a defense, and we have a prosecution going back and forth filing motions and things like that, talking about discovery. But want to talk about some of the initial statements, some of the initial pictures, as well as, did you guys know this? That the Idaho State Forensic Lab received a $3 million grant just 2 weeks before the murders. They announced it for DNA testing, genealogy, and stuff like that. Why didn't the Idaho State Lab do the genealogy stuff if they had been working since 2020 to get all this, the different grants and what they were going to put their money towards, and they wanted to solve a bunch of cold cases. And so why wouldn't the Idaho State Forensic Lab do the genealogy testing? Why would they be in the midst of doing it and then poof, all of a sudden, oh my God, stop what you're doing. Send that on over to the FBI. And we're going to talk about, there's initial pictures of showing what we now know to be Kaylee's room, okay? And Kaylee's dad said, he was able to put two and two together when he made mention. This was the first time we ever heard that Kaylee and Maddie were in the same bed. They died together. In the end, they died together in the same bed. That came from Kaylee's dad at the candle vigil. And which he had no problem. He should say that. He could say whatever he wants. He's talking about his daughter. But that was the first time that any of us had heard that. And then you go back and you look at these pictures, and he's like, well, I just put two and two together. That's how he claimed that he knew that. And that he had seen, there was pictures because her windows weren't drawn, like the drapes or whatever, the blinds and stuff like that. And they were able to get this picture, which I'm going to put up. And this picture, it's Kaylee's room, and you can see a bed, and it looks perfectly intact, except just like the covers are rolled back. A little bit like somebody, got out of bed. They got out of bed at some point. Was Kaylee a bed maker? Did she always make her bed? Was that from the night before? What were these girls wearing when they were murdered? Did they have pajamas on? Did they still have the clothes that they were on, that they went out in? What were they wearing? And that, you guys, nobody's talking about that. Not as much as they need to be. But what was everybody wearing? Where was everybody's phones? And tonight, like I said, there's a live between 8 and 9. I forget what time I put it at. I have to check. And I'm going to go through a very detailed timeline of each victim from the time that they, back a couple years, and from what I was able to get. But I think whatever happened when the time that the girls got home at 1:56 a.m. to 2:52 a.m. is very, very important. Very, very important. Because if you actually go back, like we're going to do here a little bit just to get the ball rolling with the talks of it, but then more so later on this evening, is to really, what is this talk about that Kaylee took Murphy out, that she had seen a masked man and told her neighbors and her roommates about it. So how about wait till you see the stuff that we pull out when we were able to find these things on Reddit. People are writing on Reddit, say that they live there, that they live like either they date somebody that's, a neighbor, or they're an alum, or that they're this or this. Way back in the beginning, somebody wrote that this felt like a BTK. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. We went back and we pulled all this stuff from back in the day. By the way, I'm waiting on my DoorDash for my lunch. They better get their asses here. All right. Today I'm eating Chipotle for lunch, in case anybody wants to know. But again, I'm going to pull up, like I said, a bunch of stuff's going to be revealed tonight. Wanted to talk about a little bit with you guys. If you guys are working at lunch, listen in your earbuds. Again, hello to all the members, subscribers, moderators. Thank you guys for being here. So I don't know if you guys get Chipotle where you're from, but yeah, BTK, yep. But somebody had wrote this way before, like early, like we're talking like, right in the initial right off the rip. Where is somebody getting this? Like, to just like throw that out there. You guys know that's interesting? That somebody put in writing in their Reddit thread that this had all the vibes and feels of the BTK. It's like, wait, what? In the early stages, yes, I'm going to reveal all of this. I'm going to reveal all of this tonight because it has to do with this timeline. Let me see here. Just so you guys know, I'm not pulling your old chain. Let's see. I'll go ahead and you went way back to dig all this stuff out. Okay. Back 7 months ago, before any of this, like before there was arrest, anything. Ready? Moscow local here. Me too. Each day that passes, I'm getting the feeling this is a BTK / Ramirez type predator. Moscow and the university is tight-knit. Everyone knows everyone here. If the person knew the victims, we would have multiple clear suspects. I feel like we're just waiting for another attack at this point. What? And then, again, this is stuff that we were able to get, in the initial stages, because you never know what could be deleted. Screenshot, grab, get whatever you can. And then you go back one day and you look at everything, what was being said on, early on. So I'm going to share this so you guys can see. But it's like, that's pretty interesting, no? I mean, that this person would say this. Then, coming across somebody that was really, really, like, they just threw themselves in the mix by talking about that their partner, like, lived and was a neighbor. They just inserted themselves way too much, in my opinion. And was on these Reddit threads talking like, yeah, I was there that night. What? And saying like, yeah, no, we weren't interviewed. My partner lives there, or lives right next door. I'm like, who the hell is your partner? Come to find out, this girl is bisexual. And I'm like, okay, great. Was she dating a guy or a girl at this time? Ain't no shame in my game. I'll call it as I see it. All right, Amazon. Chipotle, all my deliveries. Woohoo! Fabulous. Don't mind me. Let me pull this up. Oh, thank you for the kind words out there, Shirley. All right, let's see. Just send that to myself. Pull it up here for you guys to see. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, check this out. Again, I'll be going live tonight. This is just to give you a little buffer. They have chicken, don't they? Chipotle has chicken, yeah. Check that out. Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate that. Put that towards my burrito bowl. There you go. You can call it a dox all you want. I'm just taking a screenshot. It's not a dox. All right, you guys see that there? Moscow local here. Me too. Each day that passes, I'm getting the feeling this is a BTK Ramirez type predator. Moscow and the university is tight knit. Everyone knows everyone here. If the person knew the victims, we would have multiple clear suspects. I feel like we're just waiting for another attack at this point. So, I got a lot more where this came from. Screenshots galore tonight, taking you guys way back to the beginning. Taking us way back. DoorDash. So what they do, guys, DoorDash, like, I mean, they're notorious for this. They take pictures when you get it, you know, to let you know that it's been delivered. I've been testing DoorDash for 7 months now, or not 7 months, however long it's been, since we found out about the PCA and about a DoorDash. I've been doing like weird stuff to see if, you know, if I write, hey, walk around in the back, do this, do that. Just seeing what's up. Anyways, again, hello to the mods, members, the new subscribers, new members. So this is one of the things we're going to talk about, is we're going to go through the people that said that they were locals, the people that said that they dated people that lived next door, okay, and that they were, that house was, that they were having a party like that night, that there was people there. They were there that night staying at their partner's place. That, you know, recently there had been talks about drugs. This is all going to come out. Oh, yay, you got your delivery. Yes. So there was, I was really, really interested though in this one girl that had to speak out about this. Because she looks like she's Asian to me. I was able, with the help of Bella, we were able to find her because she posted pictures about, like, you could just do some research. And, but you can do research to see what these people post about and what they've posted or commented on in the past. You can do like a lot of like networking to see anybody that's posted on this case. If they post something that grabs your attention, you can just, you know, go back and see what you can find. Well, that's what we did last night and the past nights, looking back at the, you know, wanted to go back to the beginning and see if anybody slipped up and said some stuff that you're just like, wow, either they're just like a mind reader or they have ESPN, as they say on the Mean Girls movie, ESP. But people that knew things, people when making a comment like, how do they know this? Like everybody wants to talk about Papa Rogers. Dude, F Papa Rogers. There's other really, really important threads that we found that have to talk about that these people were neighbors. They're claiming to be neighbors. But not only are they claiming to be neighbors, this girl went as far as to say that her partner was accused of being a mass murderer not once, but twice. Like, wait, what? Like, who are you, woman? And then here she's like an Asian. And then we talked about, BK having like possibly like an Asian girlfriend or somebody that would come over by his place. I'm like, I'm curious. I'm curious on some stuff. So anyways, we've been deep diving like you wouldn't believe to locate stuff, to put it in order. And we're going to bring it all tonight. And this is just a sample so that you guys could see something. But a lot of time has gone into this, way too many hours than I will ever want to admit to. But this timeline, the thing that doesn't make the most sense is that Maddie, Xana, and Ethan, even Dylan, even Bethany, they seem like they lived their life like a normal college kid would. They're taking their classes and they're going, to school, they're partying, whatever. They're living at the home that they say that they're living in. They're there all the time, Maddie left just for the summer to go be with, Jake in Boise. By the way, that's where all the bodybuilders are, like Kendra, and the gym that they all belong to is in Boise. But then you have Kaylee, and Kaylee's life pattern during her college experience is completely different from all these other kids that were victims. So, we're going to talk about all of this stuff. And, but the person that sticks out the most out of the victims and everything that was going on in their life, and then it was like different. It felt different than the other kids. So I think it's important. Like I said, join me this evening to talk about stuff, to see it, all those good things. Looking into extreme networks, ever since the pandemic, and even before the pandemic, online classes, being able to teach virtual, that has been talked about that, would you be using like a system like extreme networks to run, charter schools or be able to teach remote and things like that? Is that going to be like an upcoming thing since the pandemic? A lot of things started to change once the pandemic hit. I think, and the biggest thing of all would be like remote working. I think a lot of people that own these big corporations know that, God, we have all these huge buildings. We're paying ridiculous money in rent, or to buy it, to build it, all this stuff. Well, all these people can work at home and we don't have to pay any of this. So we're going to just take everybody back to the beginning and really focus on from 1:56 a.m. until 2:52 a.m. What happened at 1122 King Road? What happened in that neighborhood even between the time that they got back? We all know they were alive at the corner club. They were alive at the grub truck. But as soon as they got home, even Ethan, Xana, everybody, what happened in that King Road neighborhood between 1:56 a.m. until 2:52 a.m. And the reason I say 2:52, for those of you guys that don't know, is 2:52 is the last known outgoing anything from Kaylee and Maddie per Kaylee's family. So I have a whole list of things we're going to go over and you can just check them off as we go. But it'll be like a one-stop shop to say, okay, screenshot galore. Here you guys go. Check this out. This is what people were talking about. This is who they claim they are. This is what they were saying back in the beginning. And what sticks out to you now that you know things that you know? Is there anything that sticks out? Like, oh my gosh, how did that person know that? Or wow, what a crazy guess they had, you know? I then took every single name that Bryan Kohberger was following on Instagram. This is back before everything was shut down and then all those troll accounts created, okay? And who was Bryan following? Who was following Bryan? Is it family? Is it, for celebrities, the blue check people, I call them, blue checkers. But I can promise you this, Bryan Kohberger was not following any of those victims. Not a single one. Take that to the bank. So anybody that's putting that out there, liars! You a fucking lie. You a lie, and you a lie. And you a damn lie too. Bryan Christopher Kohberger was not following any of these people on Instagram. Not a single one. We know the name of the Asian girl. Oh my gosh, there's such a good little bowl here. Oh boy. More lies from the media? They a damn lie. All them lies. All them lies. All them lies. And for somebody that you guys want to say as a stalker, I'll tell you something that's crazy. Bryan Kohberger was only following like 114 people, but 514 people are following him. Usually people that are stalker weird people, it's the opposite way. When you have somebody that is following a bunch of people and then only like a couple people are following them, that's like stalker Lucius vibes. That's what people say. So his account was actually the opposite way. Something like 113 people that he was following, but like 514 people were following him. Okay. So now you have to look at it this way though too. How many of those people just began following him right before everything got shut down? Okay. But I can tell you this, Bryan was only following 113 people. And none of them. I have every single account. I've looked into every single account. None of them were any of the victims or anybody that lived in that house, period. ASMR lunch with Lana. Anyways, I just wanted to get you guys all pumped about tonight's live because this channel is all about truth and transparency. I give it to you guys truthfully or as true as I deem, that I believe that it is. I don't speak for other people. I speak for myself. I speak for the research. But I can tell you that anybody that's out there saying that the defense is delaying anything, why is the defense asking for the motions to be heard a lot sooner than normal? Because they're not the ones delaying it. So yeah, there's just a bunch of things, but we want to keep it all in order. Okay, I just stepped out to hit the leg. Yeah, you guys don't even have to step out. Just take your little finger and hit the scroll down from like a little gray tab, and then you just like, hit it like that. I've learned that. I didn't even know that. I don't even know that answer. But yeah, you guys are awesome. Hit the thumbs down, hit the thumbs up, whatever you deem it. Hit it. Let's see what else. Lana, you are the real burrito babe. I don't know if I want the defense is delaying. They are. How is the defense delaying? The defense is delaying. The defense is asking for stuff. The defense wanted to have a preliminary hearing. That's what they were taking their time prepping for. So. Alana, what have you found on the surviving roommates? I feel that is the link. Drunk Turkey says, do you think Christy Gonzalez is lying when she said that they searched Kohlberger's name on social media when they found out he was getting arrested prior to his arrest and saw he was following them? Do I think that she's lying? No, I have no idea what account she looked at. I've never talked to Christy about any of that, but I can tell you that she's 100% mistaken. And I'll actually show the screen recording if you want to see it. I'll show you 2 screen recordings to show that his account was not following the girls, and then it was following the girls after he was arrested. So explain that to me. If you really want to get down to the raw dog stuff, Drunk Turkey, I promise you, it's all going to come out. So then what they have to answer is, how does Brian Kohlberger's account go from not following Brian or from not following any of the victims and then 3 hours later following the victims? How do you explain that if he's already been arrested? Or if it was right before his arrest, you think that he just was like, oh my God, I'm about to get arrested. Let me go start following all these people, the victims. It's coming. Now, wouldn't that just, I can bring the fireworks like that tonight. I just don't know if people are ready for all that. I mean, I've been had it for months. But as far as, do I think people are lying? I don't think anybody's lying. That's the thing. I don't think that that's even the right word to say is lying. If you tell me something and I repeat it, did I just lie? No, I just told you what, you said to me. Now, if you didn't do what you said that you were going to, if you lied to me and I repeat it, am I the liar? No. So, so basically what you're saying, though, is that Mr. and Mrs. G were given the name of Brian Kohlberger before he was arrested. That's pretty dangerous. Usually you don't do that. That's an integrity thing with a case. So, so the G's are going to come out and admit that they were given the name of Brian Kohlberger before he was arrested. That's an integrity thing. What cops usually do is they tell you that they're about to make an arrest. We just want you to hear it from us first. But if they gave up that name to them 3 hours before they arrested him, I think the screenshots are going to show, or their screen recordings actually. Yes, that is exactly what they told me, that they have the guy and gave them his name. Yes. And I think that that's living proof right there, because I don't think she's lying about that. I don't think she's lying about that at all. But how can Moscow Police Department, the FBI, the Idaho State Police, how can they say that they kept the integrity of this case, but they're not giving the Gonzalez's any information, but hey, guess what? Today, we're going to call you and let you know 3 hours before we make an arrest that here's the guy. We're going to arrest him in 3 hours. That is absolute fucking craziness. And I'm sure their phone records will prove it because they got a phone call, right? So their phone records will show what time a police officer called Mr. or Mrs. Gonsalves to say, hey, want to let you know we're arresting somebody. And again, the big thing is that I don't believe anybody's lying. Also, I know this, depending on what time Bryan Kohberger was in custody and taken down, his phone was immediately seized from him. He didn't have his phone after he was in custody, in police custody. So how would Bryan Kohberger's Instagram account not be liking him or not be liking any of the girls, not be following any of the girls? And then when you go and look at the account 3 hours later, be following. How would fake BK account be created before his arrest? How would fake, you just answered the question. How would it? How would it? Because they knew 3 hours beforehand. Anybody could have created that account. You just answered that question by telling me that 3 hours before this arrest, that people knew about his name. Now, I don't believe that it was just the Gonsalveses that would have known about Bryan Kohberger's name 3 hours beforehand. You know how loose lips sink ships? Why is anybody giving that name out before an arrest? I can't answer that. All I know is that I can show it all later, but it's going to bring some pow, 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 pow. It's going to bring out fireworks, and I don't know if people are ready for all that. You talk to Christy, Daniel, ask her about the text messages that she sent to Kaylee that morning that were never talked about again, that she did with the aunt and her daughter. Ask her about those. What time were those at? Ask her about the masked man in the tree that Kaylee saw when they took Murphy out, and how the neighbors knew about this masked man, about the roommates knowing about this masked man. Trust me, all the stuff that's going on right now, wild. But tonight, 9 p.m., we will take us back to the beginning, and we're going to talk about things that was out there early on. And we can prove that it was out there early on because we have all the screenshots from it. We've been busting our tails to put it all together. And it's, not just been me and Bella. There's been a lot of you guys out there that have really taken kindly to when I've written stuff like, hey, yeah, please send me that. Let me take a look at it. Let me see where this fits. Let me see if it's this, an altered screenshot, or if it's this or if it's that. But we've been building things. If you've been a part of TNT community here, you've been a part of the victims deserve justice. And those victims being the 4 that were murdered. There's other victims in this case, but for sure, they're worth the truth, as Miss Nine put out there. They are worth the truth. But I think the truth comes with consequences. And I don't know if people are ready for that. Again, nobody's lying. That's the thing. Nobody's lying. Can people be protecting people? Sure. Can people be confused? Can people pass things through the grapevine on how they heard something? And yeah. Was the masked man of the night of? Allegedly, yeah. Yeah. Lana is in total beast mode. I'm just in total like, okay, guys, this is what it is. It is what it is. So get back to me on those whole text messages and what time those texts started because that never was said ever again. It was we were all watching Sunday football and there was none of this. Oh, I had texted Kaylee and she didn't get back to me, or oh my God, I was texting Kaylee at the same time that the police were swarming. That was never said again ever in any narrative anywhere else. So I'm just curious on those text messages. Give me some timestamps on those, Daniel. And ask them about receiving any phone calls that morning about anybody being hysterical about the masked man. But let's do it. Be kind to one another. Stay vigilant out there. Email if you have something of value. It has to do with stuff that went on in the beginning, stuff that was said. But now the question is, I want you guys to all think about this. What happened between 156 and 252? 156 and 252. Almost an hour. Okay? The time or the thumbnail has Kaylee's bed. I put out, go check out my community page. There's a bunch of stuff we're going to be leading into. Idaho State Police Forensic Lab, $3 million grant 2 weeks before these murders. And it was for DNA testing. Why didn't ISP, Forensic Lab, do the DNA, the genealogy? That's exactly what it was for. Why did it get stripped from them and given to the FBI? And then the FBI makes no documentation of anything that they did. Why? That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. Kaylee was on Dean's list. Maddie Dean's list. Xana Dean's list. Ethan, maybe he wasn't on Dean's list. But these kids are going to college. Brian Kohlberger just moves. There's only 12 weekends from the time he gets there from the first time that he was pulled over until that murder, 12 possible weekends, all right? Who knew that Kaylee was going to be back in town? Who knew that Kaylee was going to be accessible to be ambushed like that? But we're going to talk about it all tonight. But it all has to come chronologically, okay? You can't put, as the prosecution says, what is it? The cart before the horse, okay? So I want us to all go back to the beginning. I want us to go back to the beginning, and I want us to look at a couple different things with this timeline. And it's not just about the night of the murders. It's going back to 2020, going back to 2019. And it's called victimology. You're going to tell me that of all the people that Brian Kohlberger could have stalked and wanted to follow and wanted to kill because he wanted a thrill kill, or because he was becoming a serial killer, or this was his first kill because he wanted to become a serial killer, or he was already a serial killer, all this stuff, right? He happens to pick this house, okay? These girls were never living together prior to this. They had all just moved in together for the first time, all right? And they were all finally there because people were coming and going in the summer months. I have documentation that proves that Kaylee started her internship June of 2022. I am in contact with the woman that runs the genealogy overseas of 23andMe. I'm this close to being to secure this interview on my channel here so that we can hear all about this, what do you call it? how you would create this family tree, how you would go from having 27,000 possibles to then you're starting to eliminate. I want to know, I want this woman to walk, because this is everything that the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab, this is what they were doing in the years leading up to this murder. They wanted to get all this funding for genealogy testing, okay, to solve all these cold cases. And then here they announce, you guys want to see the screenshots of when they announced it? $3 million. They were given $3 million. But do you know what it goes for? I wanted to know, okay, well, when you get a grant, like, okay, what are you using the money for, though? There's consulting, but that was 2 weeks before the murders. So Idaho Forensic Lab is supposed to be like, just wait for it. I want you guys to be able to see it on the screen. You got a guy, okay, that basically was told, hey, there was DNA at the scene. We put it through CODIS. There wasn't a hit. But guess what we did? We took that DNA and we put it into these laboratories with all this genealogy stuff. And that's how we got to you. Wait, what? Well, can I see this? What do you mean you got to me? Yeah, no, we don't have to show you that. We don't have to tell you how we got to you. But I can just tell you that we did it through genealogy testing after we created a DNA profile of you. What? Okay, so wait, what? Can you imagine being told that you're not going to get, you have arrested me. You believe I killed 4 people. You're the FBI. What do you mean you're not going to tell me how you pinned me for this? What do you mean you put that DNA that was at the scene? There should have been tons of DNA at that scene. The stuff on the sheath. Yep. Okay, that one, great. You put that through CODIS. Awesome. You didn't get a hit. There's no hit. So the DNA on that sheath is somebody that has never committed a felony. Now, let me ask you this question. You obtained my dad's DNA. How did you invade his privacy to get his DNA? Because the only reason you got my DNA is after you arrested me. After you arrested me, were you then able to get the swab? So if you can't arrest me, you don't get my DNA to then test it against your Idaho profile. How did they arrest Brian Kohlberger? From his dad's DNA that they obtained. Understand that? If they don't obtain Brian Kohlberger's dad's DNA, why did they have to even do that? Why did they even need to do that? Because it wasn't soundproof enough, right? It didn't pass the test. Reverse DNA genealogy. We're going to go over all of it, but you have to start from the beginning. But this is what it's like. Here, I hand you a name, Brian Kohlberger. What's this, guys? That's who you need to investigate. We did that whole genealogy stuff. We built some trees, and this is what became, we were eliminating, people. This kid lives over here. He's a PhD student. He's into criminology, blah, blah, blah. But here's a name for you. Okay. Yeah, this is who you need to start investigating. That's how this happened. From the FBI handing over the name Bryan Kohberger and the tree. So basically, the point of wanting to interview somebody that runs all this crap is to see how do you throw people out? Like, how would you go about doing what the FBI did? Because what they say in the PCA, or I'm sorry, what they said in this last motion is that the FBI did what any of us could do publicly. So I want to do it publicly here on my channel for all of you guys to see how this would work. Because I don't even know how it works, right? None of you guys could possibly know how this works, but I want to know. I want to know. Because I think it's fascinating. Because if the FBI did what they just did in this case, and the police did what they were able to do in this case, and truly get Bryan Kohberger, and he's the one, right? We should not have an unsolved homicide out there. And all these people that were involved in this need to be given an award of a lifetime, because what they were able to do is truly commendable. If and in fact they did it this way. Because this should be a case that goes down in history to show exactly what they all did, so that this can be taught to other departments and other agencies across the United States of America. So, but we're also going to talk about the most important part is going back to the beginning and showing you guys these timelines. And I'm only going to show you where the discrepancies lie with stuff, what we were told, then versus what social media may say, or what somebody's life may look like. Okay? We all know this. I don't go and take a picture of Tommy's D that he got on his paper and put it on social media and tell everybody, oh my God, look at my son Tommy, he got a D. And no, social media is to highlight your achievements. Social media is to highlight the good stuff in your life, or the occasional blame somebody in your life. Like if I was to take pictures of somebody trying to break into my car and, blah, blah, blah. Can you believe these fuckers did this? And showing pictures of that. Social media is to show highlights of your life, right? Not like all the bull crap that goes on in your life. But there are some exceptions to that rule when you have the woes me's out there. And we know who they are. You're always like, oh my God. Do you ever look at Tina's social media? She is crazy. She's, always whining, talking about this ailment, talking about that ailment. She's always taking pictures. Her house is a mess. Like, God. So there are those exceptions. But reeling it all back in, social media is a facade. So you can't always use everything you see on social media and that it's fact. I could be trying to make it look like my life is great. Meanwhile, it's full shit. Okay. Tina B says, stop creeping on my social media. That was great. Good job, Tina. Way to come right in there. Love it. That was funny. Oh, thank you guys. When I get fired up, yes. Lana's email. Yep, there you go. There's no, so truth, transparency 3. That's the tip line. Just the tip. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm working on some new merch. So on the front it says, anonymous tip here with an arrow pointing down the front of my hoodie. And then on the back of the hoodie, it says a couple different things like Secret Service. If you guys are members, you guys know all about it. Check out the community page. Just the tip, all right. So again, I'm going to have Hector projector out. But I've been documenting this case since it started, since November. Okay. You got November, December, January, February, March, April, May. It's 7 months, guys. And now whatever we are in June, when June comes to a completion, like you're looking at 8 months, 8 months of probably a live or at least a video about this, anywhere between, I would say 3 and 5 times per week at the minimum. Okay. My channel is a walking documentary of this case from start to finish. And it's not theories on this channel. This is what it is. You can come to your own conclusions. And we'll never tell anybody, because I don't come out here and say, oh, this is what I think happened. That's not what this channel's about. This channel's about, this is what someone said, and then is it accurate? Are they mistaken? Are they confusing stuff? Do we have direct evidence of contradicting statements? Where is it? Boom. I will go when no person has gone before. But you do it in a tactful way. You do it in a respectful way. You're not out to, I don't go out there saying, this person is a liar. No. No. Not even the police, okay? Because the police have a job to do, guys. The police have to do what? Protect and serve. Okay? Protect comes first. Protect and serve. The police said they had a duty. Law enforcement had a duty to those victims to do things the right way, to keep the integrity intact. What that means, you don't get to pick and choose when integrity gets to be bent. It's full circle. And trust me, I'm trying to find every single way possible that Bryan Kohberger committed these murders. You want to know why? Because if it's not him, then who is it? And will these victims ever have true justice? I like to use the word narrative. You're putting out a narrative. And if somebody wants to talk to me and tell me something, that's their narrative, right? Well, I have the right to question your narrative when things don't add up. When 5 + 5 does not equal 10, I'm not just going to say, okay, yep, that sounds great. Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day, and then put it out there. I think that is irresponsible. I have a huge struggle with anybody that lives in the United States of America that does not stand by the Constitution. And this simple phrase is innocent until proven guilty. You are innocent until proven guilty. I want the prosecution to prove Bryan Kohberger's guilt. That's what you should want if you were to be on the jury. Can you imagine 12 people deciding your fate? And those 12 people already thinking that you're guilty and that you have to prove to them that you're not guilty? I mean, do you know how fucked up that is? Think about how pissed off we get when somebody accuses us, like our good friend accuses us of saying something or doing something, and we get all hell-bent about it. Wild. What do you guys think is going to be admissible in court, and what do you think is not going to be admissible? Let me ask you a question. If the jury never hears that Brian Kohlberger's DNA was in that house, and that they're not able to produce any of the victims' blood, traces of them, anything in his vehicle or at his apartment, if you're on the jury, how would you feel about that? I don't think Dave will be admissible either. You want to know why? Because his name ain't Dave. Oh, I don't think that Dave should be admissible, but I think his phone could be admissible. That would be a huge mistake. That's important evidence, right? Yeah. Anyways, took you guys right to the top of the hour, just like I wanted to. I see you back here this evening, bringing you nothing but the hits, nothing but the hits, says Tupac, right? You guys are awesome. I'm looking at chat now. So, thank you so much for listening to me chew my steak. I got nothing but love for you. Do you think, boy? Like Tupac. What do you think I rap for? To push a fucking rap for? I do want to hit on this last thing, and I'm going to pull it up for you guys. Leave you guys with some more bombshells. I want to show you this. Just for the... I used to read Word Up magazines. That's Biggie. I always wondered why Biggie and Tupac didn't like each other. There's that. Kaylee's bed has always bothered me. All right, let's check it out. Yeah, there you go. Okay, let's see. Stop sharing this. Let me share this. By the way, make sure you're making yourself known. Hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down. You got an opinion. We know you feel some type of way. Make yourself known. All right, so check this out. I believe that they were doing... Check this out. All right. So they were able to get these photos. All right. And just so you guys know, this good vibe sign, this it was in multiple places throughout the house. All right. But there's a bed. And again, this is balcony. And then below it. Okay. So take a look here. You got the trash there. You have the lights. So the lights were on. Now my question is, oh wait, did it not share? Hold on. Okay, good, it did. Here you go. So you have the trash. That first window there that's still showing into, that's part of the window. I mean, of the kitchen. You don't have any stools in there. Now, each piece of the tape, guys, that just shows how many times the seal had been broken. Okay, kind of like when you have to pee and you're drinking. So I see 1, 2, 3. But the lights were plugged in. I believe the lights were plugged in that night. I believe that, is this how the house was? Were all these lights on like this? Okay. For example, the morning of when the bodies would have been found, okay, it would have been light outside. All right. It's not like it's going to be dark in the middle of the night and you have to go, flick on lights. Okay. So if your lights were on during the day, you might not even know that the lights were on because of the lights all coming in from everywhere else, or it would just not be like noticeable, whatever. But here at night, you can see how lit up this is. Okay. And my question is, you guys know what it's like when you're at your own home, and you can do it tonight. Turn on your lights when it gets dark out. Okay. And then try to look out your window. All right. When you're inside and your lights are on, it creates that glare. All right. Where if you shut off your lights, you can see outside better. So what I'm wondering is, I wonder what type of glare it would be standing in this house when it's dark outside and you have all your lights on, and to be trying to look out. Okay? Look out the windows. Again, they can say allegedly, but it was allegedly dark out back, wasn't it? No, allegedly what? Like this is what the house looked like. This is early on. This was taken. This is the picture that Mr. Gonzalez is referring to. Okay. And now we have to ask ourselves, was it an experiment that they just said, hey, go ahead and go in the house and plug all the lights in? Or was this in fact how the house was? I believe, because I know we did in college. I mean, we wouldn't shut our lights off. Okay. And we'd go to bed. Now in the front of the house, outside in that, driveway area, yeah, like pitch black. But in the back of the house, go back to like when the cops were doing the body cams and everything that we showed. It's lit up out there. It's not dark. And it's like this. But if you were to be looking out though, and your room is lit up, the room that you're in, you can't see out that well. These little neon lights up here that were with the good vibes or whatever, that's how those signs were. But looking at Kaylee's room, yes, her bed's there. It looks like somebody was in it at one point, but could it have been from the night before? Did she just not make her bed? That's an option. Did she get out of her bed at some point that night? And I think there's an easy answer to this. This answer, in my opinion, is already known. And that would be based on what Kaylee would be wearing. If Kaylee was wearing the outfit that she was wearing out that night, if that's what she was murdered in, then that tells me that she never attempted to get in this bed that day, because who gets in a bed with the clothes that they, like jeans and a hoodie, and gets into a bed like that? So I think you can eliminate based off of logic, based off of what Kaylee was murdered in. So if Kaylee was murdered in the clothes that she was out in that night, Kaylee never got in this bed, in my personal opinion, based on logic. If Kaylee was in other clothes, then it is possible that she got in this bed. Was the door closed? So could Kaylee have been taken from her room and put it and brought into another room if she was sleeping, to the point of someone going in that room, grabbing her out of that room and taking her into, then let's say, Maddie's room. Let's just throw it out there. And closing the door behind to make sure that Murphy stayed in that room. The reason I'm even mentioning this is because if you were awoken, like Dylan says, due to hearing something at 4 a.m., okay? So let's say that Kaylee heard something coming from Maddie's room. If she gets up to go there, does she open up the door and then hurry up and close it before she goes into Maddie's room then? But I think this is all going to be also, you're going to be able to tell based on the transfer of blood. If Kaylee and Maddie don't have any of Ethan or Xana's blood on them, chances are they were killed before Ethan and Xana. If you use the same knife, you should be able to then see who was killed first, second, third, and fourth based on that type of transfer. Thank you, Cyber Ninja, for that comment. So I believe that they know, obviously, the order. Could it be more difficult if Kaylee and Maddie were being killed at the same time, because it's going from one stabbing to the next and you don't know which one happened first? Is that possible? Yeah, but I think that's going to be highly unlikely. I think they're going to be able to know the complete order. But then that brings up my next question, which is, if Kaylee or Maddie was a target and they were upstairs, this person, if they were stalking, would have known which room was Maddie's and which room was Kaylee's, right? So if you just go straight upstairs, why would you ever need to go back downstairs? If you already make it past everybody, you just go upstairs because you went undetected. Why would you ever need it? Why wouldn't you just go out the balcony? Why would you not just go out the back balcony, go to the left, and literally just hop down from the left side, which is not a jump at all. It's not difficult. Why would you go back downstairs? And what I mean by that is that people saying that he was upstairs and he, killed Maddie and Kaylee and then came downstairs and then ran into, Ethan and Xana, and then that's why they were killed. Again, this is somebody that had stalked this place, knew the layout. You're talking about somebody that's going to be planning to kill this, Now, and you're saying that this happened at 4, between 4 and 4:25 versus in the beginning 3 and 4. My reasoning is this. Maddie and Kaylee never make another outgoing call. They completely stopped doing anything at 2:52. People that are woken, if Kaylee was awoken, and think about this, when you are awoken in the middle of the night or whatever, what's the first thing, or when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you grab? Your phone. You grab your phone. You grab your phone to take a look at what time it is. You grab your phone to see if you got anybody calling you back or somebody had called, but you grab your phone. What's the first thing you do when your phone's sitting down you're sitting down on the couch and your phone's right there and it's on your table? It's on your little, coffee table. And you get up from being on the couch. What's the first thing you do? And you're going to be moving to a different part of your house. You do what? You stand up and you grab your phone. Do you remember in the PCA when someone says, according to Payne, that everybody was home by 2 and in their beds by 4? In their rooms, I'm sorry. In their rooms by 4. Home by 2, in their rooms by 4. Who's saying that? Who can possibly say that? I believe that if Kaylee would have been awoken and she heard something in Maddie's room, by the way, and if she was in fact in that bed, that she would have got up out of bed and took her phone. Like, we just always take our phone. Because we take our phone to look at the time. We might even be going attempting, like, before we even get out of bed. Like, hey, did you hear that? Is that you? Like, just think about what you would do. Think about it when you're a mom. And if you heard something coming from, like, if you heard your kid, I'd be flying out of my room, right? I wouldn't be closing the door behind me. What, to make sure the dog doesn't come? Why can't the dog go in? Why can't the dog follow me? I don't know of anything. I don't think there's anything wrong. Why? So, again, depending on what Kaylee would be wearing when she was murdered is going to tell me if she got in that bed or not, or if it was from the night before. Now, Kaylee is moved out, or what people do in college is you will sell your stuff. You buy it from people, especially if you trust these people, you're friends with these people, you know that it's just like a brand new mattress. It was from one of my, sorority sisters. And I'm going to be putting new sheets on anyways. People do that. College, you do crazy stuff, right? So from this picture, we clearly see that there was a bed there. Things are still on the wall. And that would tell anybody that was stalking that house, that Kaylee looks like it by all accounts that she lives there. But now if you're keeping tabs but you never see her car, or it's hardly there, only the family knows. But what are the odds, guys, that Brian could have done this to any of these houses and these people, picked anybody? But he picks this house, these victims, because he doesn't know them. He can't possibly know them well. He just moved there, right? And yet these would be the same people that all these crazy things happened that night. There's an ex-boyfriend of just like 3 weeks ago. She runs into him that night. She starts texting him and calling him that night, Kaylee. There's a guy that's like, looks like he's like following them around, seen on a grub truck. Think about all these crazy things and these ironic things that are happening. This house is like a nonstop revolving door of people coming and going. Think about all the potential people that, when you say to yourself, who would want to hurt these people? Isn't that like the first thing you would ask anybody's family? Who would want to, has your daughter ever talked about, does she have any fights with anybody? Who would want to hurt these people? But then you find out that the family wasn't even interviewed. The family wasn't even asked any questions, allegedly. And then you see all these search warrants, the Department of Labor, all these banks, credit cards, all the social media. What are the odds that Kaylee and Maddie would have seen a masked man, or men, plural, the same night that they are murdered, and that not be related? And what I mean by that is if they saw the masked man or men and they were able to tell and make it known to roommates and neighbors, that would have been way before Brian Kohlberger was around that premises at 329, like they say. Is that why the shotgunning of calls started going on? Like, hey, I don't know what the Sigma Chi kids are doing again, or, I don't know what the text messages were going back and forth. But if the roommates and the neighbors were told about seeing a masked man outside when you took out the dog, Where do you think that's coming from? Do you think it's just poor hearsay communication? Meaning this. How would you mistake Kaylee or Maddie telling the roommates, the neighbors, about a masked man? Like, they have to be alive to tell them that. You guys following that? You can't be dead telling people that. And then what are the odds that in the PCA it's it said that Dylan had seen a masked man. Well, my question is if you ask Dylan the question, Dylan, did any of your roommates say that they saw a masked man outside that night? And if the answer to that is yes, then that would have had to been when they were outside. Before Brian Kohlberger was on the scene at 329, before he's allegedly getting there with this white Elantra, they saw masked men. Or a masked man. Again, just the receipt of where it came from. So again, what transpired between 156 and 252? Those people that are seen walking in the back of the Banfield cameras, the body cams, that's at 3:14 a.m. They're coming from that area. Wherever they were coming from. Which people would know if, like, those people should have been asked to come forward, because I would want to know where they were coming from. All right. Hey, if this belongs to you, if you were walking through there that night, can you please, like, you're not in any trouble, but we just, like, wouldn't you try to, like, find out who that was, those people were? Anyways, the reason being is because Kaylee and Maddie aren't using their phones or anything after 252. But there's, people walking away at 3:14 from exactly where that area is, right there. And then, so you want me to believe that on the same night that Brian Kohlberger gets this idea that tonight's the night, Kaylee and Maddie had already seen masked men earlier, just an hour before, and then here he comes the same night that would happen at 3:29 and start making a bunch of loops around and goes God knows where. and then comes back for the final at 4:04 and seen flying out of there. Check this out. Back in the beginning, the day of the murders, they made a thread on Reddit and it got deleted. Okay, ready? It was all deleted, but hold on one second. Let me pull it up. Trust me, our deep dives took us down to try to find the pics of the president's son's penis. That's how sap happy we get in some of these deep dives. So those of you guys that are listening, that might make you chuckle as they go through. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh God, it's somewhere. I might just have to wait for it for a little bit later. All right, guys, go wrap up the rest of your day, and I will see you later because I want it all to be in the same area. So make sure you guys join back tomorrow. But basically, it was a thread that was started the day of the murders, and it was called has anybody heard what's going on in Moscow? It was called like North or South Moscow. And they talked about the dog barking the day of the murders. It was in the thread. Hearing a dog barking. And that they have a car coming and then seen parked, and then the dog barked. So we'll talk about it. Again, until later, be kind to one another. Thank you for all the new memberships. Excited about all the new details. Thank you, Stacy, Deborah, Helen. I love all the names with mom in them. Again, be kind to one another. We'll see you back here later. Thanks, members, subscribers, and a special thanks to all the mods. You guys rock.